Since the invisible onlay is a variation of the typical upper onlay preparation, let's review the basics of shoeing the cusps at this time. The three types of onlays I will be discussing are the typical upper onlay, figure A, the invisible onlay, figure B, and the typical lower onlay, figure C. The primary MOD inlay preparation is first cut, and then we decide if we need to shoe cusps for protection. I am fond of saying that they are the same, they are the same, they are the same, and they are. Fundamentally, they all have the same typical line angles, external bevels, and flat pulpal wall connecting the two boxes. Very typical preparation as always. Now let me show you the variation of shoeing the cusps. The occlusal reduction on this onlay is cut with the number 57 Fisher burr on the same plane as the cusps. Typically, this reduction is about 1.5 millimeters on functional cusps and about 1 millimeter on non-functional cusps. This is followed with the number 7404 burr to make the counter bevel on the lingual functional cusp of this upper onlay. This shows the contrast between the typical preparation and the invisible onlay. In the typical preparation, you see there is a gradual incline on the buccal cusp, which causes the gold to be quite thin over the lingual aspect of the cusp. Consequently, we need more gold on top of the cusp to protect it. In the invisible onlay, on the right, the buccal wall is a straight line, right from the incisal all the way to the pulpal wall. This design allows us to have immediate thickness of gold to protect the cusp without showing the gold. The buccal cusp is not weakened because it maintains the same thickness at the pulpal wall. So as we begin the invisible onlay preparation from the typical class 2 cavity, we first use this number 57 burr at a slight incline, as it would be done for a standard onlay. This is followed with the number 7404 burr to make the counter bevel on the lingual. This is important as it allows the lingual cusp to assume some of the buccal resistance form, removing some of the stress from the buccal cusp. The other onlay was placed at this angle. In the case of the invisible onlay, we start the preparation at a very obtuse angle, growing right to the axial wall, so the entire wall will lean to the incisal, right to the tip of the incisal cusp, from all the way to the pulpal wall. Now you can see when we place gold over this, there will be a thickness of gold just as soon as it leaves the margin to protect that cusp. And the cusp will not really be weakened because we still have the base, same amount of stock in the cusp. It's only at the incisal that we removed the stock, thereby not weakening the cusp, but allowing that thickness of gold over the cusp without showing the gold. Now we'd like to use the fine cuttle disc where the enamel is sharp. As you can see, we've run it perpendicular to the wall, so it just dulls the wall a little. And this is, I suppose, tantamount to a microscopic bevel that we're placing on that tooth. We just dulled it a little so the enamel won't be fragile when we're making the casting to it. During the wax up, about ½ millimeter of wax is placed over the incisal edge. The contour of the wax is brought out to the same plane as the buccal wall. When the casting is finished, the gold is rolled back from the line of the buccal wall toward the incisal. This allows the gold to be thinned from the buccal view until it cannot be seen. As it is finished, the gold has some elevation inside the cusp, so the enamel is protected. Even though the typical onlay shows more gold, it can be aesthetic by rounding the gold over slightly from the buccal wall to the incisal. Gold display is decreased by altering the plane of reflected light. You can readily see the difference from the amount of gold display. The invisible onlay shows no gold from the buccal aspect, but still protects the cusp.